to break down uterine fibroids. So when you look at fibroids, what is fibroids? Fibroids is a bunch of accumulated tissues full of acids and estrogen. So when you look at fibroids, that's an estrogen problem. Usually it's high amounts of estrogen. Remember, what deals with estrogen? What deals with the sexual hormones? The pituitary gland and the adrenals. The pituitary gland and the adrenals. So usually women that's on high estrogen diets, or women that's utilizing too much estrogen and not enough pregnenolone or progesterone, you start seeing them build up fibroids on the uterine wall or on the endometrium lining of the cervix. I talk about this all the time, that every month during the ovulation period, a woman produces a cyst on her ovary called the corpus luteum. And this corpus luteum is actually a cyst that grows every month during ovulation for it can get fertilized. This corpus luteum is actually a part of the egg. So if the corpus luteum does not get fertilization, pregnenolone and progesterone is supposed to come in and break it off, and then it sheds on the actual endometrium lining of the cervix through the uterine wall. And that's what gives her her menstrual cycle. Well, if estrogen is very high and present in the actual bloodstream or in the sexual organ, and pregnenolone and progesterone don't come in, it's going to stay. So what happened is next month, when that corpus luteum comes again, it's going to bind through acids, because we have to understand that estrogen is acidic. You see that? Progesterone is alkaline. Pregnenolone is alkaline. Estrogen and testosterone, these things are acidic in nature. So acids that comes in together with acids, and then mucus and calcium is mixed in, it solidifies. But remember, I told you hydration breaks up calcification and stagnation. But anyways, month after month after month, you never change your diet, woman. You constantly eating the same food. You drinking bottled water that got high estrogen and bisphenol A in it. You breathing in toxic air. You eating all these trash foods that's going to bring on cytoestrogen. You drinking, you smoking, doing all these things. You have a corpus luteum built on top of a corpus luteum that's built on top of a corpus luteum. And now this little cyst that started off this little, that was supposed to get fertilized. And that's how you know that women have seed. Male have sperm that's called fertilization. That's a whole nother topic though. I know men gonna be mad about that. But anyways, if that egg or that seed doesn't get fertilized by the semen, then it's supposed to break off due to progesterone. But if you eating high estrogen foods and you're in a high estrogen environment, or you too freaking stressed out, which produces a lot of estrogen, then what happens is month after month, cycle after cycle, that corpus luteum cyst on the ovary gets bigger and bigger and bigger. Now that cyst turned into polycystic ovarian syndrome. Then after polycystic ovarian syndrome, cyst ovarian syndrome, they all accumulate because they go through something called angiogenesis, where the damn tumor starts borrowing blood supply out of the vagina canal and out of the uterine wall. So they all come together and get bigger. Then they call this a fibroid. So how do you break up the fibroid? Through alkalization, through hydration, which breaks up solidification and calcification. Hydrate the body. Make sure that you're eating things that don't have high estrogen in them. Stay away from stress, which is not going to trick the hippocampus and the hypothalamus gland. The hippocampus and the hypothalamus gland. Keep the pituitary gland in check by eating a bunch of berries. And they be like, well, it's estrogen in berries. But it's more pregnenolone. It's more progesterone producing chemistry in the anthocyanins berries than it is estrogen, y'all. So we can't play that game. Can't play that game, especially not with a biochemist. So get your berry game up. Make sure you're not stressing out. Make sure you're drinking water out of glasses and not out of actual plastic bottles. Check the ingredients of your food. Make sure that processed food is not in your diet. Notice that your periods won't be heavy no more. Notice they won't be so painful. You won't have all them cramps that you used to have. You see what I'm saying? And you'll only start trickling blood. You ain't going to have this big birthing, gushing forth the blood, because the purpose of a period or a menstruate cycle is to detoxify monthly, because that womb works that much. Every month you go through ovulation for damn near a week. Every month. That's a lot of work and that's a lot of energy. That's a lot of bad byproducts that builds up in the vagina. So the vagina have a natural detoxification mechanism called a period. So the more the more blood that flows, that means the heavier the detoxification, because the dirtier the pH, or the more accumulated bacteria or unwanted things that you have inside of the birthing canal. The cleaner it is, the less you bleed. So you see women that go clean, that go all raw, that don't eat food and stuff, that don't eat meat and dairy, they periods be very, very light. They barely bleed. They don't have no cramps, and you can't even smell the menstruate. Most of the time you can smell the menstruate on a woman. See that? Because dirty blood represents a dirty body. So if you truly, truly want to get rid of fibroids, stay away from estrogen. Regulate the pituitary gland, make sure the adrenal glands is back online, and make sure that you're not stressed out. And I'm telling you, that corpus luteum will grow and it will go away every month. It won't grow and stay and get bigger and bigger and go through a process called angiogenesis. But cycles are unnatural. If you KQK, if you really listen to what I just said, I basically just said that, seriously, because if the body did not have nothing to get rid of, you wouldn't have a cycle. That's why the cleaner you go, the greener you go, and the more H3O2 you drink, and the more you hydrate the body, and the more you alkaline the body, because it's impossible to actually alkalize the vagina. The vagina is meant to be acidic at a 4.5. That's a 4.5. A 4.5, even sometimes up to a 4.5 to 5.0 is a perfect vagina pH. You go any higher, it's too high. You go any lower, it's too low. So the vagina is meant to be acidic because, you know, to be honest with you, that's what it has the bacteria for, to keep it in there, to keep it at bay, because of all these different processes that's happening. It's a lot of friction that's going on, which created a lot of heat. All this heat create a byproduct called acids. So to keep the vagina at that, if you keep the vagina in that actual pH balance, and you are on an all alkaline diet and you don't have that much to detoxify, then what's the purpose of a period anyway then? You see what I'm saying? The only purpose of a period is to get rid of the corpus luteum cyst that did not get fertilized by sperm. If that's the only thing you need to detoxify, then you will barely even see that coming out. If you look in the papyrus scrolls, and these are basically papyruses that was created by the higher healing priests of Egypt. They talked about periods and how women only trickled about three to 4 dots in 2 days, and their period was gone. It's damn near, they ain't using no pads or nothing. They went into a separation time and they only dripped 3 drops of blood, and that was it. And then, but if you look at their diets, it makes sense. They was only getting rid of the corpus luteum. But if you got to get rid of corpus luteum, estrogen, the drinks that you just had from being in a club the night with your girlfriends, you know what I'm saying? The hamburgers and chicken wings your man just fed you. The lobsters that y'all love to eat all the time. All that arsenic acid building up in your body. The blunt material you smoking, the cigarettes. You breathing in environmental pollutants. You drinking from bottled waters. You putting your bottled waters in car. That is a bunch of pollutants that's going to the reproductive organs. The body got to get rid of that because the body needs to create and make way for the manifestation of a baby. So your periods is going to be super, super unnaturally heavy. So the cleaner you get, it seems like the period goes away to me, but it never actually really goes away unless you go through something called unnatural menopause. And everybody think that menopause is natural when it's not. So, yeah. I never had bad periods. That's good.